Thanks for stopping by the forge tonight, guys. I've got two knives I'm gonna bring to you in this review. It's an Osprey and a Tomium. Let's take a close look at these knives and then maybe we'll even do a couple demonstrations. Stay tuned. Okay, so we have here two custom knives, custom sheaths, bought by a customer. What he wanted here was the Osprey. This is the knife that I designed for the Army Ranger, and it's been really popular. This one just does a ton of work. This is your do-it-all survival bushcraft tactical knife. Some quick features on this. We've got the rounded spine coming down, fairly flat edge that allows us to just cut super well. Look at this nice taper here, tapered down to the point. So that point is thick and durable enough to take some abuse, but wide enough to slice really well, and it penetrates nicely as well. 3.5, it's 3 3/4 blade on this. The width of this just makes it cut so nicely. And we've got those, I like to do that little run of serrations just there. And nothing crazy, but this just helps you start that cut. If you've ever been cutting a tomato and your knife isn't fully sharp, you know that just getting the start on that cut can make the whole thing different. These little serrations here, for when you've been using your knife a long time in the field, maybe it's getting dull, maybe it's lost that initial keen edge, those little serrations there are gonna help you out a bunch because they make that initial cut material and then you can go the rest of the way through. This has a micarta handle with a nice texturing on it. I like to put a little bit of texturing back in here as well to help with bringing it out of the sheath. This is a black and brown variety with some black spacers. Again, just notice the taper, how this works. Distal taper, thin, thick, and thinner again. And this is all made right here on this anvil. Then I threw a little leather lanyard in there. He's getting a paracord one as well. So of course that's convex ground, differentially heat treated 1095 high carbon steel with a 58 Rockwell hardness edge and a nice soft spine. And these things are just super durable. They are do-it-all durable, but they're easy to maintain, easy to sharpen. I got some other videos on those. And this goes into its nice and high quality leather covered, leather bonded Kydex sheath here. And I'll show you how this goes. This hooks up sideways onto your belt. But these rivets or these eyelets allow you to do a number of mounting options. So this is a very utilitarian, very useful package. It's light. The whole thing weighs less than 10 ounces. The knife is, I think, 6.8 ounces. And you can baton, you can skin, you can cut your food and prepare meals. You can do all sorts of stuff. This Osprey is the way to go. The customer also opted for Tomium, which is the Tonto kind of knife variety we do here. So this one, I made a couple modifications, which I really like. Notice the blade swells up here and out, making the handle a little bit more centered. Just see how the curve down, up, and down. And what that does is it centers it in your hand. It makes it a nice, comfortable grip. I really like the grip, really like the way that turned out. Again, notice our full distilled taper where we're thin here and it gets thicker here in the center, and then we move to thin again. That allows for nice balance, great cutting, and just a good efficient use of materials. Curly maple handle for this one. I just love how curly maple looks when you shine it back and forth, which is kind of a neat pairing with this kind of more modernized Tanto style blade. Notice this too is a nice convex grind. And again, I got videos about those, but they're very durable. They hold their edge very well if you do them right. The edge geometry makes it work to where even when your edge loses its initial keen edge after you've been using it for a while, even when it is what I would consider dull, the knives just still cut and cut and cut so well because of the edge geometry. And I hear that from my my purchasers time and time again. They say they cut so well for so long they don't sharpen them. And I say, well, you know what? It's good to sharpen it. and you should be doing that, but I'm glad it cuts well even when it's not sharp. This one has a nice little run of decorative jimping on the back, as well as some jimping that gives purchase for your thumb there. All right, notice the Tanto has the nice high point on it. That high point means there's no dull edge or there's no dull spine going through whatever it's penetrating. When it starts to penetrate, only a sharp part of the blade is in contact with material. What's more, once you've penetrated this initial inch, you've achieved the full width of the blade. There's no more resistance, and that just goes into whatever you're stabbing into. So these are just really tough, stout, powerful, and great penetrators. And it too comes with the leather bonded Kydex sheath. We'll just hear it snap right in there, and there's no rattle. It is in there nice and tight. Again, the leather here is treated with beeswax and Obernoff, so it's durable. It's gonna hold its form, and it's gonna hold this sheath on nicely. We'll demonstrate that in a bit. Let me just show you a little bit of cutting that these knives are capable of. Now, if you're a regular here, this will come as no surprise to you. But if not, you might be a little surprised. 1-inch rope, and we can go through those all day, really, with any size knife I make. Even the significantly smaller knives, I'll just blast right through that rope. So there you go. Nice, easy cuts. And again, you're talking utility. It'd be very hard to just do a pull-through cut on rope this thick. But it's very simple with these knives. Again, not just these, but any of the knives I make, smaller ones included. This is just gonna go right through, crunch right through it. So with basic cutting, heavy duty materials, things that might be tough to get through, it's just not an issue with a convex grind. You'll often hear me talk about how important it is to be able to cut well close to the tip. You'll often hear me talk about how a lot of knife manufacturers and knife makers do not do enough taper, and so the tip is too thick, too wide to cut through things well. I'm going to show you the cutting towards the very tip of this knife. You can just push right into and right through that rope. Let's go again right here. Here we are. So I love it when you can get good, precise cutting right close to the tip, because that's often right where you need it. That's right where you're trying to make those precise, fine cuts. It's nice to have a knife that's thick and durable and able to baton, but still able to do nice, clean cutting like you have to do for, again, some skinning things, some food prep. That's why I love this blade shape. And the Tanto cut like this is kind of fun because you can just push that whole part right there through it. So that's one of the unique things on the Tanto. You do a lot of interesting cuts with it. Of course, you can use the Kote here to bite in and cut as well. But you can just use that flat portion for a lot of push cutting. What I've noticed too is that you can use that in bushcraft to do some chiseling. So if you're cutting a notch or something like that, you can just push in and do a little planing, and that flat portion becomes deceptively useful the more variety of situations you try to employ it in. Talking about the penetration of the Tanto here, here's a thick canvas winter work jacket. You can see the inside is lined with some insulation there, and again, it's canvas. But if I take this Tanto, you've just got no problem, and there's no resistance behind this. I mean, it's just floating here, so you can push backwards easily. But even with no resistance, this is just penetrating right through. Let's go for the arm here and just see what happens. Yeah, even in that arm, through and through. So that's some of the excellent penetration you'll be getting from a Tanto style knife. And that's why these are often thought of as combative knives, but they don't have to be. because they are great for utility as well. 9-ounce leather, and this cuts through it just like a utility knife. It's because of that wide blade, it's because of this wide tip. This just goes through it so nicely, and you can do real fine stuff with it. Even watch how close to the tip I can get this cut going. This can be hard. You know, a lot of knives, they just don't cut that well close to the tip. But you can see here, we can just, I don't want to slip and cut myself, which I've done many times. But you can just follow it through all the way. Even that little bit towards the end cuts so nicely through the leather. And of course, the wider the blade, the better it shears through this stuff. So, same thing with the Tonto here. Just goes through simply. This is one of those times when you can use, you don't need to use a tip, you can use the Yokote here, and that's the part that can do your leather cutting. So that works quite well. Look at that. So there you are. There's another advantage of that. You gotta use a Tanto to realize how well it works in utility. So a little bit of further cutting of these knives on some tough media here. Last but not least, let me just show you how these sheaths work. So they go sideways on the belt. This really is a superior way to carry a knife because your body moves along these lines right here, right? We're always folding this way. And when you have an implement that's going up and down like this, it can get poked. And when you're sitting down, it's coming out and it gets poked various places. And rather when you have a knife lined up with your body, lined up with your meridians of motion, if you will, it's great. And so I can be seated, you know, sit it down like this. I sit right here. I can be seated, get the knife really easy, get my stuff, and put it away. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I love this, is because it's so easy to get at seated. So you're on the fireplace, and you're whittling, you're cleaning out your pipe, you're doing whatever you're doing. In and out very easily. Standing, in and out very easily. Both hands. So if you're thinking defense stuff and you're defending pistol or you're warding off, whatever you're doing, you can go both hands with this. Also, it conceals nicely. If I untuck my shirt here and just kind of standard living walking posture, it conceals pretty well, even under a small t-shirt. And then even more so if you're going with winter clothing. So you can get a pretty large, 9 inches overall, 8.5 inches overall knife carried with you very conveniently like this. I love it for bushcraft. When you're doing bushcrafting, you're seated. A lot of the times you access seated or squatting when you access your knife. And it's right there and it's easy and you're very, very aware of where it is. So you can go on the front, you do scout style on the back, both the Tanto and the, or should I say both the Tomium design and the Osprey design work the same way like that. And if you want to do something else, all you got to do is remove those Chicago screws. You can do paracord through there and just slip it onto your belt. You can have a traditional belt style mount, or just tell me. We can do a little custom deal where I can put a little leather strap back here that connects, folds around and connects, and you can just do a leather strap and hang it down normal like this. So these give you tons of mounting options. They look good, they function well, and I'm a huge fan of them. Thanks for watching the review on these two knives. This package right here, exactly as you see it, sold for $375. This package right here, exactly as you see it, sold for $350. Let me know if you would like something like this or something custom. I love little skein doos. That's such the one here in my pocket. Happens to be today. I do Bowies. I can do hook knives. This is gonna be a lineman knife I'm working on. So it's all hand forged. differentially heat treated. It's all convex ground, very high quality. I put these through a lot of testing and they perform well. So you can see me at marsfireforge.com. You can see my Instagram, marsfireforge, or just send me an email if you want to talk personally about a custom build, marsfireforge@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again for another video. See you later.